After the season ended, scouting reports came out, and I compared favorably in terms of athleticism, improvisation, and throwing outside the numbers for a quarterback, but they knocked me for low football IQ, character issues, and turnovers. And so they only gave me a C+ grade. We barely squeezed into the playoffs for the first time in 2 years. We had a number of seniors on the team who were trying to make one last run before their career was basically over. For a few of us, our careers would go on to college. Tien Nguyen and Gio Saria were both heading off to play D1 ball. Some of our defensive players on the team were playing D1 and D2 next year as well. Our first game of the playoffs came against Edmonds Woodway High School, so they're 9-1. And I knew from the jump that I was going to have to limit my turnovers against this team to stay in the game. We were clinical on our first drive, putting together a number of really successful plays, and finally I find Tien Nguyen wide open on the curl route for our first touchdown of the game. And our second drive might have been even better than our first. I find Howell on a triple option play for a 6-yard pickup, and on 3rd and 1, I deliver a moon ball, perfect over-the-head pass to Michael Weisbecker. Just a great show of touch and control over the football. And on our next play, we run 4 verticals, and I find Howell, our running back, wide open again down the field. And who is our number 1 guy in the red zone? It is none other than Tien Nguyen picking up his second touchdown of the game on a slant route. Not only am I looking really good in this game, but the D is doing their part too. We scored 2 defensive touchdowns and held Edmonds to 0 points midway through the 3rd quarter. Coach told me mid-season to start using my legs more to create new throwing angles, and that's exactly what I did. I started scanning the field as I scrambled, working with my receivers to find openings in the defense. I'll be honest though, sometimes the running lane was just a little bit too free and I had to take it into my own hands. I scored on the read option keeper to take a 35-0 lead, and we stamped our postseason with a big first-round victory over Edmonds Woodway High School. I finished the game with a 70% completion percentage, 300 passing yards, and 5 total touchdowns. And in the second round, we got our rematch with O'Day. Again, O'Day was our rival school that consistently beat us the last few years. Some of our seniors had never beaten O'Day in their careers before we beat them this season. O'Day wanted their revenge, and I could definitely tell that their defensive line was hungry to win this game. They were flying off the line of scrimmage, getting into the backfield with ease, making standing in the pocket difficult. I already scrambled at the smallest sign of pressure, so adjusting to a defensive line that really overpowered my offensive line was something that I hadn't dealt with since we played against Bellevue. O'Day was so worried about creating pressure in the pocket, though, that they forgot to send a spy for when I might scramble. As long as I could run outside, I had a lot of space to make plays with my legs. That might have been O'Day's game plan, though. They locked up the passing game against us, forcing my receivers out of rhythm. With a minute remaining in the first quarter, we had no answers on offense for this defense. Improvisation is the only thing O'Day didn't really game plan for. I run right, drawing the D in before throwing a bullet to the backup running back, Bill Wilson. That completion got us into the red zone and in position for a potential touchdown as I scrambled outside the pocket and almost got into the end zone for the first touchdown of the game. We were down at the 1-yard line, and on the very next play, I pitched it off to Alex Howell, who ran it in for the touchdown. On our next drive, I continued to get the ball to our halfbacks. Alex Howell was able to turn this screen into a 25-yard gain. Glick, our fullback, even got involved on a triple option for a nice run. I thought I had just scored the second touchdown for us when I threw it to Nguyen on the goal line, but it turned out to be just short. On 3rd and goal, Glick took it in for the second touchdown of the game, giving us a 2-possession lead. With 20 seconds left, I misread the safety and threw it into double coverage, leading to my first interception of the playoffs. I was pissed. To start the 3rd quarter, I scored a touchdown immediately, but it happened to be for the other team. I didn't see the defensive end, and O'Day returned it for a touchdown. I had probably my best pass of the game midway through the 3rd quarter on 3rd and 12 when I found Nguyen wide open over the middle of the field for a 20-yard pickup. And on the very next play, I scrambled outside the pocket and ran it, again with no QB spy on me, going out of bounds at the 15-yard line. On 3rd and 5 from the red zone on the same drive, I look for Bill Wilson a little bit too late, and he goes out of bounds for a 1-yard loss, and we don't even make a field goal on the drive. So we still only have an 8-point lead at this point at the end of the 3rd quarter as I run for an 11-yard pickup to pick up the first down. To start the 4th quarter, we ran a triple option play where I kept it myself instead of giving it to Glick, and I got absolutely crushed on that play, taking a massive hit from one of the linebackers. And on the very next play, I throw an interception trying to find Nguyen on a post route. Walker intercepts it, and they end up scoring a touchdown off of that interception, but they go for 2 and don't complete it, so we're still up by 2 points. At this point, we're just trying to waste time. So on 3rd and 3 with 50 seconds remaining, I throw an absolute out-route dart to Ostrander, and that effectively seals the game, and we beat O'Day to advance to the semifinals of the Washington State High School football playoffs. In the semifinals, we got to play against Burien. But before we talk about Burien, we're going to talk real quick about what happened with Emma a little bit more. So someone leaked a rumor that Emma and I had been seeing each other, and it made its way into our locker room. I'm not the prototypical leader at quarterback, and I still hadn't earned complete respect for my teammates, especially after nearly sabotaging our game against Seattle Prep. Despite the fact that we were going to the playoffs, we had a lot of drama around the team. Word got to Gio that I was seeing Emma, and without even saying a word to me, he came up and knocked me out. I woke up still a little dizzy as Coach yelled at both of us to come into his office from the locker room. He told Gio and I that we were each suspended for a game, and that game happened to be the last regular season game before the playoffs. I screamed at Coach that we were about to hit the playoffs, and he looked at me with a blank stare on his face. After a few seconds without saying a single word, he stood up and walked out of the room. Gio walked out next. I got a text from my dad saying that a bunch of schools were worried about my off-the-field issues and they might pull my scholarship offers. I hadn't received any new offers since the rumors came up about Gio and I thought that this was probably my all-time low as a football player. But I had to get mentally prepared for this playoff run. Getting back to the game against Burien, if the first quarter was my best quarter of the postseason, then the second quarter could have been my worst. I started to get in my own head. I threw my first pick of the game, and then immediately after took a terrible sack. But just when things started to look really ugly on offense, on 3rd and 37, I delivered an absolute dagger. I started to catch fire. I wanted to snatch the hearts of the Burien team and their fans. Coach called a timeout and was talking about setting up for a field goal, but I told him that we're getting this touchdown no matter what. We're ending their season on this drive. I would not be denied. I almost got sacked, but threw the defender off of me before throwing the ball away. On the next set of plays, I took matters in my own hands, scrambling for a big chunk of yards. I felt the most in control I ever had felt in this exact moment. I demanded with 2 seconds left that Coach let me throw. I ran outside the pocket with no time left and delivered a strike to win, taking a 20-0 lead. And we ended up winning 20-0. Next step, playing in the Washington State Football Championship and signing day. I'll see you in the next one.